I'm I'm so what? What? House of Gucci stars Lady Gaga, Adam Driver, Jared Leto, Al Pacino, and Jeremy Irons. When Patrizia Reggiani, an outsider from humble beginnings, marries into the Gucci family, her unbridled ambition begins to unravel their legacy and triggers a reckless spiral of betrayal, revenge, and ultimately murder. Now, going into this movie, to be honest, I wasn't really over the moon excited for it, and House of Gucci is something. I don't really know where to even begin. This movie is such a mixed bag, and this is one of, if not the biggest misfires of the entire year. The biggest red flag for me within this movie that I really picked up on within an hour or so is that this movie is so unintentionally funny. I can't imagine their approach to this movie was, let's make a comedy, let's do a big comedy epic. A comedy that scales multiple years and tells a story of Gucci, one of the biggest empires of all time. I find that very hard to believe. It's so funny, and I was completely baffled by the direction that they took within that regard. There's one scene in particular, which is within the first hour, and it had me dying. It was so intense and uncomfortable that I was losing my mind laughing. I could not stop laughing. It was just so absurd and over the top, and I feel like they knew what they were doing, but they still decided to put it in there. It was something else. And there are multiple scenes in this movie that are so awkward that I was just sitting there like, what is going on? And fortunately enough, the only thing that really saves this movie from being a complete disaster are the performances. Lady Gaga is pretty good. She is a little bit over the top at times, but for the most part, she was pretty good. As well as Adam Driver, who is having such a big year. Over the last couple months, he's given us some great performances, and you can add this one to the list. We also got Al Pacino, who is doing his usual Al Pacino things. Jeremy Irons is also really good. But the biggest discussion piece coming out of this movie, and it's all that anyone can really talk about, and that is Jared Leto. No disrespect to Jared Leto. I think he's a really cool dude. He does give some really good performances from time to time. Here, no. There are plenty of memes all over the internet talking about his performance here, but Lady Gaga's performance that almost goes over the top is nothing compared to Jared Leto. It's hard to put into words how I feel about his performance. It is so unlike anything that I've really seen this year, and this is what the Razzie Awards were made for. I know it sounds very harsh, but I feel like Razzie Awards were meant for this performance. Yeah, it was, yeah. The movie is way too long. It has a lot that it wants to cram into an under 3-hour runtime. You're telling a story that spans 30 plus years, and there's a lot to talk about, and they just crammed it all in there. The movie is also pretty boring at times, and it was hard to get through. After the 1 hour 30 mark, I was like, I'm done. I can leave right now. I was just ready for this movie to be over. I feel like this movie would have worked so much better as a miniseries with a consistent tone. This feels like something that would go to like an FX or an HBO. And this story does have a lot of potential, but here it just fell flat. And then you have characters that are really hard to get behind, so you're just watching a frustrating experience. These people are just so self-absorbed, and it's not really a fun experience to watch them pretty much throw their lives away. And that's definitely how I would describe this movie, an overall very frustrating experience. Taking the performances out of proportion, House of Gucci was a total misfire. It is hilarious, and it doesn't really know what it is. Throughout this movie, there are spots of really great potential. There are scenes that are intriguing, but then it'll just throw it away with a funny scene. There's way too much going on, and I had a really hard time juggling it all. Look, the performances are good, and they definitely saved this movie from being a complete and utter disaster. But I'm just baffled, to say the least, by the movie that we've got here. I'm gonna give House of Gucci a C. Yeah, unfortunately this movie didn't really work for me, but if it did work for you, let me know down below what you guys thought of this movie. Thank you for watching this review, and if you did enjoy, consider giving it a like, as well as subscribing and hitting that notification bell to get notified whenever new videos like this go live. Look forward to more reviews coming soon. My name is Ben, people call me Meteor, and I'll see you guys in the next one.